Tommy Davidson has been entertaining us for over 30 years, acting, stand-up comedy. His book is out and he's now on tour. I on South Florida. Let's introduce everyone to Tommy. Oh, he's already got the book in hand, Living in Color. I can't wait to tell our viewers and listeners about this book. It's so fascinating. But Tommy, how you feeling? How you doing?
I'm really good. I'm really good. It's Monday, fun day. That one day, baby. I'm excited to get down there. I've been going there for probably 28 years or more.
Wow.
There was a place called the Comedy Corner that used to be there, and that's when I used to do I used to, fly all the way to West Palm to open, do 5 minutes for the weekend, and I opened for like Rosie O'Donnell and Louis Anderson, all the big people, this is way before Live in Color. So.
All right, so we're glad to have you back down in South Florida. To me, it's paradise. So viewers and listeners, right off the bat, save the date, June 3rd through June 6th. Tommy Davidson is coming to the Palm Beach Improv. Go on the website now and lock up your tickets because these will go quick. Listen, people are fiending for live shows, comedy, laughter. I think it's the best medicine. I mean, let's ask you, what does laughter and comedy do to the human soul? To me, it's the best medicine.
It's something that I can't describe. And I tell you, I've always had it, but I didn't discover that I really had it until I was probably about 18, 19, that I really had this thing. But it's not until recently, I'd say about 6 years ago, I was in Afghanistan. And one of the kids, I call them kids because they're my kids' age, they were guarding the front gate there, and 3 of them got shot. One of them died, one of them got paralyzed, one of them lost their foot. So the brass comes to my room. We had already been bombed 2 times, right? So I think it's over. They asked me to go to his room, and cheer him up. I said, okay, I don't know what I'm going to say. So, they're walking with me. And as I'm walking, people are peeling off. It was just me and the curtain around the bed. I'm like, where'd everybody go? I guess, here goes the show, So I stick my head in. He's got all kind of tubes in him. He's laying there with, sleep. And I guess he hears me rattling. He looks over. A smile so big comes over his face. He goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I was about to ask you the same thing." and that's when I knew, there's so much more to this.
That the positive impact, what it does. And I think now more than ever, people need that laughter. Obviously, you tell a story like that, that's a lot more extreme. So glad that you were still performing. I mean, I think comedy's probably changed from the late 80s, 90s till now. I mean, do they even let you say anything?
Yeah, I don't know, because, I've never had a problem with saying stuff that was, politically incorrect, because I think I'm just politically correct, because of my background. So, and I was always taught to look at the people around me as people from the very beginning. So I never would say anything derogatory towards anybody unless it was to show a brighter side.
I wish more people would just see no color and see us as humans and as people. I don't know if a lot of our viewers even know your backstory, but hopefully you don't mind me sharing that.
Yeah, please. I'd like to finally hear it.
Yeah,
I've been saying it.
To me, it's from tragedy to triumph. I mean, you were abandoned as a child, I think, in a dumpster in the trash, which is the most heartbreaking thing I could imagine and think of. And then something was talking to a woman and led her to this trash and actually found you and adopted you. So you were adopted by a white mother. That to me is just the most wildest story. So you're raised by a white family. You didn't even know you are a man of color.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were white either. I thought that they were peach, like in the crayons, and I was brown, like in the crayons. Now, I grew up in Wyoming and Fort Collins, Colorado, around animals and farms and all kind of stuff, So I saw a lot of litters be born, and I thought that people were like animals. You can have a cat would have a litter. It could be a black one, gray one, brown one, speckled one. I saw a horse. Horses would have colts. It could be a black colt and have a white colt. It was crazy. So I'm thinking, that's us. all animals are all kind of colors, and that's just how it is. Then I moved to Washington, D.C., and during the riots in '68, when King got shot, so it was fires everywhere, and people running, doing all kind of stuff, tear gas, which looked very familiar about this year. I've seen that before. How ironic, And we settled down, and the black kids, not known as black kids, but brown kids, beat our asses, man, every day. And we're calling my brother and my sister white cracker, and calling me white cracker lover. So I was 5. So I went to my mom finally and said, why are they keep calling me a white cracker lover? I like graham crackers, And that's when she told me the story of color. She said, people your color, when they don't like us, that's what they call us. I said, well, what color are they? She said, they're black. And I said, no, they're brown. She said, yeah, but that's what we call them. So then we moved to the suburbs, same story. All the grown white men were chasing me home. It's the first time I heard the N-word. So I go to my mom and I go, who are these N's? We got to stay away from them. They seem like some really bad people, She said, well, that's what people our color call people your color when they don't like them. Well, I've been like, what color are y'all? Well, we're white. I said, no, you're like peach. And then my whole brain exploded. At 5 years old, I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. I was like, what the heck is this? This is the stupidest thing ever. But I also went on a quest in my life to find out why that was, and a lot of that is in the book. It's my journey to find out why people treated each other that way. And it took me down a lot of avenues, a lot of roads, a lot of books, and come to find out there is no color. There is no color. Love is the color, and green is the enemy. That's what I was able to surmise out of it. Not grass, but green, bread. It seemed like that was the thing that separated people, but they used color as a way to kind of camouflage it.
What made you write the book now?
My sister, she called me one time. She always got something to say. So I didn't take it serious at all. You never mention mom in your interviews. You do all these big interviews, do all this stuff. You never mention mom, man. And I didn't think about it. But it occurred to me. The reason why I never mentioned her, because I was ashamed of her. I was ashamed of my mother because when she came around, people started treating me different. We grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. So when she came to school, all the kids would look at me really weird and start treating me different too. You're a punk, you're soft, you're not really black, it was that thing. And then when I went places with them, I would feel, I didn't know what I was feeling, but I would feel like everybody in the restaurant didn't like me. That wasn't all the time, which I can say for me is seems to me to be a different outlook on it than other people. All white people didn't treat me that way. White people were just as wonderful and loving towards me as black people were, or Spanish people, or Asians were. They were just tall people when I was a kid. Most tall people treated me with a lot of love, So I came out of this thing really a psychedelic hippie, peace-loving kid. And I was lucky to come up at the time I did, because during the time in the 70s, peace was in style. All the kids were coming back from Vietnam, and everybody was out there with picket signs, and the women's lib movement with Billie Jean King, and I Am Woman, and civil rights movement, and it seemed that, to me, it really did happen. That color was the thing that we all were trying to make happen. We got bused to different schools. We all started going to school together. Everything reflected it, from Sonny and Cher to Seals and Yarnell, to Laugh-In, to Sesame Street, to Hong Kong Phooey to the cartoons we watched. It was all kind of meshed together. When we grew up, we never really dealt with race, from 70 on. We were like the hippie kids. Peace was the thing. We had to play Hair, Tommy, Jesus Christ Superstar, Oliver, Bye Bye Birdie, West Side Story. We were just like a really hip kids, man. It's not until, probably the 80s that things started going kind of south with drugs and things started getting kind of crazy in this country. And then, of course, coming into the 2000s where we are, it seems like it went all the way back to when I was a kid.
And I think your book
Yeah.
is so timely right now, more than ever. So certainly viewers and listeners, go on Amazon.com. I think that's the easiest way. Grab the book and type in Tommy Davidson or Living in Color. And I think you'll have your eyes wide open. But you're just proof of, as far as coming through it and kind of, it seems like you really see the positive though in all these situations and all these people that you're taking positives from it.
Well, you if you don't, what do you got? You got WW2, right? And some people, I think a small group of people are convinced that Earth is going to get through WW3 or something, and there's a good chance that we won't. It's called WW, so the whole world was at war. Half of the world was fighting the other half of the world. How does nature sustain something like that with the weapons we got now? If you saw Planet of the Apes, and you know what it's all about, So, that's the thing that is the strongest force that we're dealing with. And, we can't put our eyes too far into our TVs, into our telephones, where we don't see the world around us, or too far in the TV, where we don't see the world around us. The more we're out of those apparatuses and look around us, you'll see that we come from color.
I love that.
Yeah, that's why we were given that part of our eye, so we can see it all.
That's right. Speaking of color, let's go back and lighten it up, because in Living Color, on for 4 seasons, to me, my cheeks and jaw would just be hurting after each episode. Just the funniest program. What was that experience like? I know you share some of the behind the scenes in your book, but share a little bit with us.
It's a rocket ship to the moon. I got there out in LA, and all of us, me, David Allen Greer, Jim Carrey, everybody got out there to LA trying to stake a claim in a career that we wanted. And we tried to get TV shows and movies, and we would see each other at the clubs, and we emerged to be the best ones, among the comics that were there. We were younger, Seinfeld and Roseanne Barr, and a lot of those, Tom Hanks was in the comedy clubs, Michael Keaton was in the comedy clubs, Whoopi Goldberg was in the clubs. We were these kids coming in, and we all ended up on the same show. So what do you think was going to happen? And we come from those kids that I was talking about. We love Lucy. We love, there is no distinguished difference between I Love Lucy and Good Times. We all watched the same stuff, So we brought that to the show. I think, and that was the first time America looked really like it really looks, was on In Living Color. White kids, Black kids, Asian kids, we all laugh at the same things, but we all got to see us in one frame. I think that's what changed things. And everything, this world has changed, but we don't really, you got to look at it in the context of time. Now, with everything that's going on, it's already come together. But right then it was just getting pieced together. We had Run DMC and the Beastie Boys and Kid and Play, and all these things were starting to come together, and now they're already together and we're moving on, So I thought I thought the irony of the title of the book came from my experience. I was lucky enough to get on a show called, In Living Color, but I was a kid that was living in color, man. I was color conscious from the day I arrived in DC. So it's living in color.
I didn't realize the unity that show brought. I didn't look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, because over the years with this country, You don't know what to laugh at and what's going to be proper for you, and especially white America, because if you're like my mom and my grandma, racism makes you uncomfortable and you don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't want to say the wrong thing. So they'll ask me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Why is that way? And within Living Color, you didn't have to ask. It was just all right in front of you and it all felt good.
You did some of the best impersonations on that, from Sugar Ray, Michael Jackson, Sammy Davis, Spike Lee. Let me ask you this, because I was looking at your Instagram and you've hung out. These seem like these are your friends. You're hanging out with them. Did they ever get mad at you? Were they ever like, hey, do this about me? Were they giving you tips? What's that like when you're roasting them, but now you're hanging out with them?
I never got any flack from anybody, except for Arsenio didn't like it.
Ah,
I think to this day, he doesn't like it, man. I'm like, hey, man, what's up, man? He's like, hey, man. I'm like, come on, dude, man, come on.
and that's
I
another
think he's the only
comedian.
one. He's the only one. I think, yeah, he's the only one that had a problem with it from me. But we would just touch people. Ray Leonard looked at me one time in an interview. We did an interview together, and he looked at me for a quick second, because I do him very, Sugar Ray Leonard. I tell you what, Tommy Hearns is a very, very good puncher, not a very good fighter, And I was doing this, and I looked at him, and he looked at me like, for 1 second, I was like, I forgot this guy knocks people out, man, for a living.
That's see, I saw one picture he was choking you, so I was like, oh, I wonder if he said something about something I didn't like.
Yeah. But lucky though, because of this, I got to know a lot of people that became friends that I was familiar with as a kid. I was friends with Lou Rawls, I'm friends with Stevie Wonder, Luther Vandross, George Duke is another one, Carlos Santana, Samuel Jackson. Well, before Sam was Samuel L. Jackson, Spike Lee, Robert Townsend, Keenan, Stevie Nicks, Ringo Starr. Just like, these are the people that I grew up listening to. Whoopi Goldberg, Billy Crystal, Robin Williams, and those are all from the comedy club. From, when I got to LA, they were like, whoa, this kid. Some of them would come down to the room where I was. I wasn't in the main rooms, but people would make their way up there, hey, Seinfeld's watching you, man, and everybody had something to say. Everybody had something to say to me, like, Seinfeld would, you're really good, man. You're all you got to do is keep doing what you're doing, And I watched them get television shows. That's how steeped I am in this thing. I watched them get television shows. Adam Sandler, I watched him start his movie career. He was a main room in Comedy Store, just like that. Tim Allen, me and Tim, I went on the road with Tim, and did shows, just watching these people. I'm lucky. I got to drive the Oscar Mayer Wiener wagon. I got to drive the Goodyear blimp over the Super Bowl. I went to Bozo's studio. I had lunch with George Lucas. He asked me to have lunch. I've performed countless times with Stevie Wonder. I've traveled the world for 30 times. I've been to probably every major military installation, whether that be Marines, Air Force, Army, what have you. I've been in the arena out there in the theater, in the military theater, for 26 years, in bases, as far as like Diego Garcia or Kyrgyzstan, on the border between Mongolia and China. Like, I really, really have had a great run at this thing, from South Bend, Indiana, to Florida, Tampa, West Palm. I didn't know about Florida. I didn't know about that place. Duval. There's so much going on in this country. So I came up with a show that I'm working on, the Laugh Bus, where I take comics across the country. You can call it a reality show, but it's the reality of our country. to bring them together. So I'm every day waking up feeling good about where I am. And that takes a while. That takes a while as a person to adjust to all this stuff that's out here, you know?
Your mind is right, man. I love that. I want to also just acknowledge you because I've noticed that you're on all those USO military tours. So kudos to you for supporting the military,
Oh,
going out
thank
there
you.
and make them laugh. That's a beautiful thing. So it is true that comedy and laughter could really lead to just all the magnificent things in life. So I think we all just need to start laughing more, bringing more happiness. Viewers and listeners, June 3rd, June 6th, Palm Beach Improv. Make sure you see Tommy Davidson. Tommy, who's your like top five? What's your Mount Rushmore of comedians? Is this a tough one?
For me, it's Pryor, Robin, Carlin, Eddie, and a guy named Charlie Fleischer.
Nice. I'm gonna check those out. Didn't know
Yeah.
that last one. If you can describe what's that feeling when you're on stage and that crowd just erupts in laughter from a joke. What's that feeling? Can you describe it?
Surfing. You know, it takes a long time to get out there, but man, if you catch a wave, cowabunga baby, you know what I mean? And you're in the tube, you know, I don't surf, but I don't have to. I know, you know, that must be the feeling, you know, and you can just crash into the wave, babe. You know, it's not like riding a skateboard. It's kind of rough, a lot of bumps. You know, if you fall, it may hurt, you know, but when you get on that stage, you're riding people's better mind. It's a phenomenon that one person can stand there and make. The most people I made laugh at the same time was 60,000. You know, one person making 60,000 people laugh at the same time with 60,000 different varied experiences, but I can bring them into one. You know, it's a phenomenon. You know, it's as common as any human skill that we've come to. You know, whether it be surgery or electrician's labor, or a guy who knows how to run the hell out of a subway train. You know, or a miner in Mattawan. You know, it's just a part of what we are. You know, and that's me. My purpose was to be a component of all. I didn't know that before. It's the book that brought that forth. You know, and so everything that was negative that I grew up in, my perception of things, it all turned out to be, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be walking this walk right now. You know, and it includes, you know, from Led Zeppelin to Earth, Wind and Fire to J. Cole to Green Day to Coldplay to Toto to Grover Washington Jr. from the Poseidon Adventure all the way to Star Wars. I mean, it's like, look at that. You know, from Italy all the way to Chicago, just making all of these intricate and wonderful connections. I talked to De Niro, and I had De Niro at the film festival. I was dying to meet him in New York. And I had saw this movie called Paisan. It was an old Italian movie from the 50s where this black GI befriended this little boy in Italy during World War II. And the little boy stole his boots. And so he's going around in this war trying to find the little boy that stole his boots because he liked them a lot. But he was like, hey, man, where's my boots? So we went into this cave finally where they told him where he was. And that's where all the peasants, all the Italian peasants were hiding from the bombs. And it was like the clothes everywhere, it was poverty. And he said, he finally found the boy and he said, you can keep the boots. And the boy said, why? He said, because this reminds me of the tenements that I live in Chicago. And I told De Niro that could be a great movie. And he said, I saw that. He said, first of all, he said, how do you know about that? And second of all, he said, I'm going to make some calls and see if that, I'm going to call Scorsese and see, you know, what he sees in that. You know, I haven't talked to him since, but that's okay. I'll see him again, you know, God willing. But it's those kind of things, you know.
That's a great story, and it's crazy when you look at all those different elements and all those historical, monumental from arts, entertainment, how it just plays a role in everyone's life. So it's pretty amazing. Tommy, I'm just so impressed with your attitude, what you've done in the entertainment industry for so long. We have the book out, you're back on tour, which I'm so excited about, and now exclusive. You heard it here first. Laugh Bus is coming. That's going to be a great show. I might need to sneak on one of those bus trips just to see what goes
Oh, come on,
I
you
heard
can
the
come.
bus is sometimes better than the actual shows.
Yeah, man, you can come. It's really the Peace Train, Cat Stevens. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You know. So in the immortal words of Kansas, in my departure, I'll say, "Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more."
You ever sing? I think you got some singing in you too, a little bit too.
Yeah,
I know you
carry
love
on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Dang, dang.
I love that. Tommy Davidson, viewers and listeners, June 3rd, June 6th. Make sure you go on Palm Beach Improv's website, get tickets now. Go on Amazon, get his book. Very excited for this new TV show. Tommy, TD, you are the man. You're a role model, your inspiration. I think young comics need to watch you and learn from you. And you have the right attitude. And that's why you've been so successful in this entertainment.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be coming back.
Tommy, you are the man. Can't wait to see you live. I'll be following you. Get his book. Go see him live on tour. Tommy Davidson, everybody. Let's go.
Thank you, man.